people, and welcome to my review for the Star Wars Holiday Special. Oh boy. Alright, so the Star Wars Holiday Special is a made-for-TV movie that revolves around Chewbacca's family. Yes, this guy right here, this Pop, never see it the same way again after this. So it revolves around his family and how Chewbacca needs to come home for Life Day, which is basically the Wookiees' form of Christmas. It's a day that everyone gets together and has happiness, and etc., etc. So a lot of people have said that this is one of the worst films ever made, while also being entirely hilarious. So in that way, I was kind of excited to watch this. And I gotta say that I agree with society that this is probably one of the worst films ever made. The Star Wars Holiday Special is absolutely atrocious, and the only way I can truly show how bad this movie is if I analyze it and I go step through every plot point in this movie. So, if you have not seen the Star Wars Holiday Special and you plan to, I don't know why you would, but if you do, just pause this review, go and watch it. Really don't, but go and watch it and come back here and continue the review. So I am about to go full spoilers territory, just talk straight through about the movie. So the movie opened with a scene of Han Solo and Chewbacca on a Millennium Falcon shooting other droids around the area. No, not droids, but TIE fighters. And I gotta say, right once this opened, I said, I'm having some sort of deja vu. Oh, I know exactly why, because these are shots used in Episode 4. And I guess they didn't have the production budget to change the shots, but okay. It wasn't honestly too bad, so I thought, okay, maybe this won't be as bad as everyone says. But the moment that they start going through the crawl, and they mentioned that R2-D2 stars as R2-D2, I knew something was up. So, let's get right into it. So, the film opens with the Wookiee family, which has Wookiee's grandfather, Chewbacca, has Chewbacca's father-in-law, has his wife and his child. So, it opens up with Wookiees living life? What? I'm sorry, this is a Star Wars movie, and we get Wookiee reality television throughout the entire runtime? Who thought that was a good idea? Honestly, who on the production board thought, you know what I think would be a good idea? What if we make the entire movie revolve around Wookiees living day-to-day life? You know, that would be an awesome idea, just to see Wookiees without subtitles just going to each other throughout the entire runtime, practically the entire runtime, with humans to randomly come in just to spout dialogue so that the audience doesn't get insanely bored. Oh, yeah, that's a genius idea. Okay. That's definitely an awful aspect. And Chewbacca, also the fact that Chewbacca is a father is a terrible, terrible idea. So what? He is a father who never sees his family except for one day of the year, that goes around with his best friend, and they just sort of go around places helping people and not helping people and just being smugglers. What? That is a terrible idea. Whoever ever thought that having Chewbacca be a father was a good idea? I don't understand. Okay, so going on, this movie is insanely outdated. I knew that right from the moment where tiny little Chewbacca got up on practically from the opening shot, where we get a shot of the Wookiee house, and it's animated, and it's hand-drawn, which was just a terrible combination. Why couldn't you have at least used the CGI set at the time, or just used the set? That would have been nice, but okay, so they continue on with their Wookiee daily life, and then suddenly, I don't know why, they want to entertain the little boy, the little Wookiee, so they show him humans dancing on a platform. Oh, okay, why? Why was that even included in the movie? It's 5 minutes long, and it's literally a young, tiny Wookiee watching humans do circus acts. Why? Why did that even happen? There was absolutely no reason for that, and it felt like the only reason it was in there was to stretch out the runtime. Speaking of, this movie should have been 5 minutes long. This should have been a short film. But instead, they decided to extend it to 1 hour and 40 minutes by having random shots of really, really stupid things and continuous, extraneously long scenes about nothing. I can be okay with a movie that's practically about nothing. That's okay. But the only way to back that up is with something interesting going on in the scene, or just some sort of character conflict rather than story conflict. But nothing happens because there's Wookiees just grunting at each other, using Wookiee language that we don't understand because there's no subtitles to make it any more interesting. At this moment, I started to understand that this was going to be an absolutely awful, terrible movie. Okay, so, and then they decide to FaceTime, now I guess it's considered FaceTime, Mark Hamill to ask about Chewie's whereabouts. And, oh my god, Chewbacca looks, sorry, not Chewbacca, Luke Skywalker looks like a toy. And I understand the reason why. He was in a serious car accident 3 weeks before, and it completely messed him up, so they had to put dozens and dozens of pounds of makeup on him just to make him look okay. But still, it looks absolutely awful. He looks like a toy, he looks so squeaky clean, and his dialogue fixed exactly who he was, which was completely annoying and just completely awful. Also, how did, in between episode 4 and this, did he suddenly mature a lot and stop being the kid that's still learning about the galaxy? Instead, he's just with R2-D2 talking like this. It's so annoying. And then they decide to have another FaceTime communication with the owner of a shop. And I kid you not, there is about a minute before they even start talking to the Wookiees, where there's just an Imperial guy that walks into the store and talks to the other guy about fish tanks. I'm not joking. They talk about pocket-sized fish tanks. Because that's a good idea for a conversation topic. No, we aren't going to foreshadow the fact that Imperial troopers will soon be going into Chewbacca's house. No, we aren't going to foreshadow that at all. Instead, we decide to have conversations about miniature fish tanks for an entire minute long. They don't cut away from it, and it goes on to the point that you realize, oh, I'm watching a conversation about fish tanks. Okay. So, continuing on with that, they eventually get in a conversation with the line. And I am convinced I have found the cringiest, absolute worst line of dialogue ever put into a film. And that is when the guy who owns the shop is talking to the Chewbacca family, and I think they're talking about a rug or something, and he says, yeah, that rug was made mighty fast, and it was definitely made by human hands. You might say it was made by hand Solo. Not joking, that is a real line that a screenwriter wrote, thinking that that was slightly acceptable. This movie is already tiring me, and I'm only halfway through the notes that I have. No, not even halfway, probably 1/5 the way through my notes. Let's continue on. So, and then afterwards, there's also after they're done with the FaceTime, the group, the guy and the Imperial soldier continuously talk about it. I don't understand why they continuously talk about fish tanks, but that scene's finally over, thank God, and they go back to the Chewbacca house. And it was at this moment that I realized, the editing in this movie is absolutely, completely awful. Because they have a cut to Darth Vader that's so abrupt, and I have no clue why that was even in there. And it seemed like it was recycled footage from episode 4, later to find out that it was footage that they didn't include in episode 4 that they used for this special. And they continue on like this, and the editing is just completely awful. It's cut to random things at random times that make absolutely no sense. Scenes go on for way too long that should be short. Scenes that are too short should be going on for longer. It's absolute garbage. And there's also, afterwards, there's a cooking scene in which the wife of Chewbacca is cooking something up. And I gotta say, it's an absolutely awful scene. It's supposed to be of a woman who has multiple arms making a meal, and she continuously says, okay, so we're going to stir, stir, whip, whip, stir, stir, whip, or just some sort of random order like that. And that goes on for a minute, and then suddenly they add, an anomaly in that where they say something else at the end, and then that goes on for a minute, and it's just continuous talking about just making a meal that is so obnoxious that they talk about how big a size of the bite in your family is. It's so dumb. Continuing on, they have another space battle with Chewbacca and Han Solo, and it's so boring. Nothing is happening here. It's Han Solo that's talking like he's sleepwalking, just saying, oh, Chewie, look, we gotta shoot that. Pew, pew. Oh, look, we got it. Okay, now we're gonna shoot that. Pew, pew. I don't even understand what they were doing there, but okay. So, and then there's a scene where the guy from the store earlier comes to give technology to the people, and Chewbacca's father or father-in-law watches something. Now, I like to keep these reviews kid-friendly, so I'm not going to say what he's watching, but let's just say it's made in his own imagination and it's PG, but it is for pleasurable desire. It's one of the most just awful scenes I've ever seen. And then they start having a musical number. Right when you thought the scene couldn't get any worse, they have a musical number that is so terribly sang. It's just, I don't even understand why they had her sing. It is so awful, so atrocious. There was no need for it, and it goes on for 3 minutes. Just a 3-minute singing scene with an absolutely awful singer that probably has never taken singing lessons. And I was a bit confused at that point why they were having a musical number, and oh boy, lucky for me, they have about 4 more in the movie. Awesome. So, at this moment, I decided to click on the runtime to see how far I was in. I was about 35 minutes in, and it felt like an entire movie that 2 hours had passed. I'm not joking. The pacing of this movie is atrocious. It is, again, similar to the editing. Scenes that just go on way too long, that have no merit for going on that long. And it makes for a terrible pace to the movie, where a scene that should be 30 seconds is an hour, or at least that feels like an hour. And yes, I previously mentioned Harrison Ford, or maybe I didn't mention it before, but Harrison Ford is so wooden in this movie. He is obnoxiously wooden. What was he doing here? I'm just curious, what was he doing? He seems so tired, and it's not surprising to later learn that, oh, he didn't even want to be with this. I don't blame him if that's the reason why he was stale, but he just sort of talked like this and said, oh, Chewbacca, do that. Don't worry, Chewbacca, I'll get you back before Life Day. And he just continuously talks like that forever. It's so annoying. So, continuing on, the Imperials decide to come into the Chewbacca's house and sort of do an interrogation of it. Okay, and there is a scene in which they sit down and watch another musical number. It's similar to the dancing scene before the humans, where it's holograph humans doing a musical number, and yet again it is absolutely awful singing, and it's so hard to get through. It's 3 minutes of it, and there's even a part where one guy decides to start dancing, and I thought after seeing 9 Lives, I had seen one of the worst dancing scenes in a movie, where Christopher Walken briefly danced, but I think that this one was even worse. There's no reason to it, and he actually enjoys watching it. The Imperial guy, who's on official business, enjoys watching a musical number. He has no reason to watch, and it's put there for absolutely no reason other than to distract the guy, which clearly doesn't work, so what was the point of it even being in there? And it goes on for like 5 minutes. It feels like 20, and I wouldn't be... 5 is probably an over-exaggeration, but still, it goes on forever. And also, I have to bring up, at this moment, it also occurred to me that a lot of these costumes looked like fan fiction. The Imperial officers, practically everyone in the Imperial Legion, very, very much looked just like they were fan-made costumes. That was terrible. So, And I don't know how, but somehow the number was worse than the one from before. And I didn't realize at this point that the numbers were going to get progressively worse from the first one, which is mind-boggling how something that bad can get worse. So, and then after that, they just continue searching, so then the little kid decides to watch a video. It's an animated video. And there was no reason for it to be in here. It's about 11 minutes long, and it's our first appearance of Boba Fett. Boba Fett, yeah. And it's cool to see him on screen. He's a cool character, but the animation is absolutely god-awful. I mean, even for the time, was absolutely terrible. I mean, Han Solo looked like he was having a stroke. Luke Skywalker looks like he was under the influence of drugs. And the animation in this skit is absolutely awful, but I gotta say it's probably the best part of the movie because it goes away from the main part for a little bit, and it gives you time to recover. Because at the very least, you can watch just something else, just anything else at all. You get to watch it for at least 10 minutes, and it's so reassuring. So after that, they decide as the Imperials are still searching, the little kid goes upstairs because his machine isn't working, and there's an instructional video done by a droid that isn't necessarily working, and it's honestly an awful, I'm out of syllables that rhyme with bad, that are similar to bad, but it's so awful. Oh my god, it's not funny at the slightest, which I believe is their intentions. Then again, this entire movie has no tone, so I don't know what I should have expected, but it's not funny at all. It's just a guy malfunctioning, and just, what was he doing? What was he doing? What was the thought process behind this happening? I have absolutely no clue. It's honestly just, it's worse. It's terrible, but a video that follows is even worse. After they're done with that, they go downstairs, and for some reason, I don't know why, and it's probably the most nonsensical thing in the movie, but suddenly the Imperial Legion is forced to watch a video about Tatooine, in which they say, oh, so this scene has nothing to do with the movie, but it's just, oh, your life could be much worse, so make sure you enjoy your life by watching this video on Tatooine. And there's even a part where they say something similar to this, but after this, no morals to the video are put. Then what was the point of it being in there? In fact, this just shows how there are so many scenes in this movie that have no importance. So they go to this bar in Tatooine, and there's a lady serving drinks to everyone in the bar. And then there's one guy that's trying to flirt with her and trying to give her flowers. And he also drank things from the top of his head, which is completely moronic, because you could just put anything in there. You could put food in there and boom, he'd be drinking food. A bird could poop through his head and boom, he just drank bird poop. Just stupid stuff like that. Why? Why was that even an idea? We've never seen that before in the Star Wars universe. We've never seen it since then. So what was the point of putting it in there? So then after this scene just continues on for 5 minutes, and then they cut from it because the cameras are malfunctioning. And I thought, okay, at least we're done with that. But oh no, we are not. We get about another 15 minutes of characters talking at the saloon, talking about how suddenly there's a restraint put on them so they all have to go home. And then a musical number set to the Cantina band comes in. And it is even worse than the last two. Oh my god, what was this song? What was this song? It was talking about how she has to say goodbye to her friends that she serves at the bar. And she talks to them and sings songs set to a slow Cantina band. And similar to the Chewbacca pop I have back there, I believe that this has officially completely ruined the Cantina band song for me. Listening to it, I am never going to listen to it the same way. thanks to the holiday special. So this scene goes on for what feels like an hour of complete nonsense, and it's just nothing is going on. It's not funny, it's not dramatic, it's not entertaining, it's just a scene. And then after that, the Chewbacca shows up, and so, for some reason the Imperials leave just to report to something, but one stays behind, and then he is killed. So finally Chewbacca and Han Solo come, finally, when we're an hour and 15 minutes into the movie. He finally comes, and they kill the stormtrooper who's simply doing his job. Didn't deserve to die at all. They could have just told him to go away, or just take his gun away and just push him out, but no, they decide to kill him. Someone who is just doing his job. I don't understand. And then Han Solo leaves, which is completely moronical because he comes back right afterwards, so what was the point in that? And then, finally, we get the Life Day sequence, and I'm a bit confused on what this holiday is supposed to be. What is Life Day? It's a day where Wookiees go to a place in red robes, I believe, and offer something. Okay, what's the importance of that day? Why is it the most anticipated day in the Wookiee calendar? No clue. And then we get on to the main cast returning, and they're talking about Life Day. And for some reason, C-3PO decides that he should give a speech, and it is absolutely terrible. He says, oh, I wish, as a robot, I wish that I could relate to you humans. Sadly, I cannot, but that is okay. Not humans, sorry, Wookiees. But it's so terrible. It goes on for 15 seconds. So it's not the biggest issue in the movie, but it's just a huge, glaring issue that one brief moment was even thought that it was well written, that it was even thought to be acceptable writing. I don't know. So after that, we get one more musical number, and we get to hear Carrie Fisher singing. Yes. Star Wars Holiday Special is awful. Carrie Fisher doesn't know how to sing. There's no reason for her to sing. It's truly, truly terrible. And honestly, I don't know what they were trying to do with this. So, the movie has no point. There's no reason for this movie to be around. It has nothing to it. It's not funny. It's not action-filled. It's got no drama. They don't even try to give it a genre. Instead, it's just a movie that exists. I would even be hesitant to call it a movie because it's so awful. And an example of this is what happens at the very, very end. They decide to show stills from Star Wars, or Episode 4 if you need the clarification. Why? Why did they have that in there? That has absolutely nothing to do with the entire special. It's just shots of it to remind you, oh, remember you like Star Wars, so you should like this too. Why? Why was that put in there? There's absolutely no reason. It did nothing to advance the plot. It did nothing to affect it. It just happened. And it was truly awful. The Star Wars Holiday Special is one of the worst films I have ever seen. Other than Gods of Egypt and Avatar: The Last Airbender, this may even be the worst I've ever seen. Because this is absolutely awful filmmaking. Whoever made this, just the director, I feel bad for him. With the script that he was given, I don't know what he turned into this. And, George Lucas was once quoted with saying, if I had the time and a sledgehammer, I would go around and destroy every single copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special. And it's believable, because this movie is atrocious. It's every single synonym to bad that you can come up with. And that is why this movie gets a 0.3 from me, or a 3 out of 10. Absolutely awful, no reason to see it. If you like Star Wars, don't watch it, because it'll ruin some things about Star Wars that you never wanted ruined. Alright, that concludes my review for the Star Wars Holiday Special. What do you think of this special? If you have seen it, I'm so sorry, but comment in the comment section below. I am Robert Burke, and this has been my rant review for the Star Wars Holiday Special. Goodbye.